Hey guys, Jay here, and today I want to show you guys something that I think is pretty cool, right? And let's first of all showcase a little bit of what it looks like while I run through this toxic sewer real quick. Okay. You might notice that I do not actually use an attack or anything or cast anything that much. I just simply walking around most of the time. And spark projectiles are shoot everywhere. Like here and there, sure, I do use the lancing steel or spraying here, but actually it is not the thing that is dealing any damage or anything. It's just used to start a chain reaction, by the way. Uh, so that is just like a quick run through the map. I do die there, but because this character is absolutely dog shit right now, it is just like throw a bunch of stuff together and then get the mechanic going so I can record this like proof of concept video, right? So let's get to the actual mechanic of the build, or the mechanic of whatever build that you want to build with this mechanic. So it is around the trigger level 10 icicle burst when you hit a frozen enemy. This is a special thing that you can get from the Avarice or Avarice mace, the one-handed mace. It is shitty item, but now you can have the rune smithing, and you can get it to a two-handed sword, axe, or mace, right? So two-handed weapon. So you can have a six link over here. Here I am using an axe. You can use a sword. This axe has a lot of like base crit chance, so it is easier to crit cap for me. So I used it, but sword I think overall is just better in the end game because it does get in quite a lot of extra critical strike multiplier actually. So we are using cast on critical strike with this thing. Icicle Burst is actually an attack. So as an attack, it can trigger cast on critical strike with whatever spell that you are linked to it, that you are linking to it. And here I am using Spark of the Nova. You can obviously use any other spells. How it worked? Why is it looping? Well, Lancing Steel Spraying here is just a skill that I throw in here for like some utility and just to trigger the initial reaction. When this skill, Lasting Steel Spraying, is freezing something, it trigger Icicle Burst. Icicle Burst is critting because I have crit cap. It trigger Cast on Crit, Spark of the Nova. And the Spark of the Nova itself, if that thing or whatever the spell that you want to use with this interaction, if it can freeze, the Spark is going to freeze. Then another spark maybe will hit the frozen target, and that will trigger another icicle burst, and that just basically keep triggering the icicle burst and then trigger the nova, so it can trigger itself, right? So that is basically why there is a infinite loop going on, given that you need to have like a target nearby to freeze basically. And if it wears off, very simple, just press the button over here. And obviously, like with a full build, I think it is kind of obvious to also use Lancing Steel, spraying, or whatever skill you want to use for triggering, and then have another cast on crit setup for this one. So you can use it for more single target, for example, or you can use it for like triggering like stuff like frostbow and ice nova or frostbow. That is a very common thing for cast on crit. Or vortex of projection you can use with even things like the detonate dead and desecrate, things like that, the kind of like two spell combo. You can also use this setup for like a double cock setup basically. But I think for the cool factor of it, and we don't need to like repress any button, I think the best bet is just to basically cast a spell by itself. And in this particular axe, I want to like stress a very important thing. because I know a lot of people might have this idea, and I had this idea myself, and I made this mistake. I don't want anyone to make this mistake. It is socketed gems are supported by level 18 to 20 cast on critical strike. This mod can be have from a shaper two-handed weapon, and in this case I actually crafted one for myself, but actually it just doesn't work because the icicle burst need a physical cast on critical strike support gem to socket into the item to be able to actually trigger anything. The mod here doesn't interact at all with the icicle burst, so keep that in mind. This is a wasted mod, at least for this build. The axe is still okay. It is pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie, right? It is still pretty nice, but yeah, for this kind of setup, the cast on crit gem here is completely useless, right? So do not go for that. Instead, just try to do something like this one. The hits can be evade is absolutely godsend mod for cast on crit. So yeah, this axe eventually works out very well. I crafted both of this myself. Uh, I crafted this one initially, and then I have to recraft another one, and I landed on this one basically. And so yeah, right here I will talk a little bit about my own setup, my personal setup as well. But before that, I would like to give a quick shout out to this guy, Stan G. I think this guy is from Thailand, or yeah, I think he's from Thailand. What he is, he is the first person that I personally know that is discovering this interaction, and he has a build guide for his like completed character here. Let's just see a little bit of the gameplay, right? He is using the ice spear, by the way, and I do think that you can use literally a lot of spells, any spells almost. He is using ice spear over here, right? And this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. The quality, let me see the quality. I want to improve it. Okay, let's see a little bit of gameplay on his video over here, right? As you can see, it actually goes off like crazy. Ice Spear might works a little bit better, but I want to try out Spark because I have like an idea in mind, and a particular setup in mind that I want to try out, right? This is the Ice Spear, right? So if you want like more information about his character, I will leave the link to this particular video in the description. He also have a build guide video on his channel, which is over here, Guild Automated. I think it's this misspoke. This is misspelled, right? But that is not important. I will leave the video to this particular video. This is the first time I see this mechanic, and I want to try it out myself. This is his POB. He is setting up with the Hit Shiver, which naturally is very, very good because you do have like a lot of extra cold as fire. I think personally it is a missed opportunity to do this kind of thing and don't use the incandescent heart body armor. You can have 20% of elemental damage as extra chaos, and because you are like an elemental build that like converting from one element to another, you have like a lot of extra chaos for it. And that exactly is what I am trying to do over here as well. So I am using a little bit of a different and harder to set up. This is Eternity Shroud, and you gain 5% of elemental damage as extra chaos per shaper item equipped, and also hits ignore enemy monsters chaos resistant if all equipped items are shaper item. Naturally, if I use Spark and I want to freeze, I want to convert them to cold, and naturally I have to use Cold of Brotherhood. This is super freaking hard to get, so I would not recommend anyone to try and follow my footsteps. There are not a lot of items on the market for this one, not at all right? So yeah, this is going to be very hard to get, and naturally all of my other items are shaper influenced. They are kind of normal items, right? I try to get a little bit of extra projectile speed. If I have more money, I would try to reflect this particular amulet. If I'm lucky, I will get projectile speed, life, and crit multi to like improve. And that will be very, very cool, right? Because I cannot use a hit shiver if I cannot get a shaper influence hit shiver, so I have to use a blizzard crown over here. It does add a bunch of cold damage, and yeah, it just works out pretty well, I think. It does help to add like a bunch of extra damage on the build, extra chaos damage on top, because I am having like this is 9 items, so 45% of elemental damage as extra chaos. If you don't know how conversion works, basically if you convert one element to another and then to another one, all of them actually have like extra chaos portion to it. So you basically like double, triple dipping on the extra elemental damage as chaos if you are a conversion build from one element to another. The rest of it is very cookie cutter. This one is just about with like a tier 2 cooldown recovery rate. Eventually, I would try to get the cast on crit awaken version, but right now I am very broke already, so that is not a thing that I'm going to have anytime soon. But yeah, pretty cool. This is a pretty cool setup, and I want to share with you guys. So let me know if you think this is interesting. If you think so, please leave a like on the video. Also, please do check out the other video from Stan G. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.